All right, right now we're going to go into a video about this guy, my new Multimeter. And having used it already, I could tell you that this one is not going back. This thing does exactly what you want it to do. Let me get it down here on the chopping block. But in the meantime, I've got a little story to share. And if you don't really care, you can fast forward right through it. But yesterday, a couple of days ago, I was riding with my kids and they noticed a vape shop. They said, "Dad, there's a vape shop." I said, "Cool." So I made a note to myself, but I'll have to check it out. It was a new one. So yesterday I went to the vape shop. I was really excited. I had a dentist appointment later. I actually had a freaking cavity. Can you believe that? I mean, I don't know. I think I was a little kid the last time I had a cavity. So anyway, I left early to go check out this vape shop. When I rolled up, the first thing I noticed walking in was that it was about a quarter head shop. I saw all the glass stuff on this side. And then they just had a big counter and a bunch of stuff. The vibe was chill. The guy was young dude. And then over there they had like a big lounge. Well, other than one other guy that was asking questions about juices that had just stopped, I was the only one in there. So I had a little time to talk to the dude. And my first impression of it was, I'm just going to go on and say, there is a need for an adult-run professional vape shop that cares more about what they've got, cares more about what you've got going on than what they've got going on. Let me tell you what, let's take a quick blast. Now, if I walk into your vape store and we're talking and I'm looking around and how long you guys been here, blah, 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 oh, we're over there and we just moved over here and it's a bigger thing, and we're shooting the breeze, and what is that mod you got there, man? It's the first time I've ever seen a 26650 mod or a 26650 battery. It had this big old thing. I think it was called a Panzer. And it was every bit as heavy as probably, and as thick probably as 2 Rios, and about that long. And on top of it, he had a Tobe, which I always thought was TOBH, because I always see this stuff in writing. I don't experience this stuff in life. My only experiences in life when it comes to vaping are my own. So I'm looking at that thing, so I said, let me check it out. So I pick, and the first thing he does is he goes, "Watch this." This guy's probably, I'm just going to guess, about 25 or so. Ski cap on, Duck Dynasty looking little beard. So I'm thinking to myself, okay. So he takes and he drips into it and he takes this enormous hit and he's like, and I'm thinking, I'm over here doing, pretty much the same thing with my deal. So we sat and we stopped and we talked. Do you think once the dude would say, "What is that you got there, man? What do you got there?" So I'm asking him if he builds, and he whips out one of those Dark Zero coil jig clones, and it's blue. And I said, "Oh, you got the Dark Zero coil jig clone." He looked at me, I kind of knew what I was talking about. He goes, "Yeah, man, this thing just rocks. It rips out the best builds, you know, and this and that." And then he went and showed me what he had in his TOBH, and there's these 2 monster things. So I showed him mine, and I thought I might spark some interest. The guy could care. And then I showed him the Rio and how it works. The other customer came over. The kid was a young guy too. He's probably younger than the guy in the store, and he was interested. He was like, "Wow, that's cool," but I could tell that he didn't have the budget. I mean, the clientele it seemed to attract to me was that, and I even got to that far. I said, "So what kind of customers you guys run? You guys are you get like the carton a week type of smoker or the pack a day type of smoker?" He goes, "Yeah, most people are in here. They come in like every day or two. We've been here for a while." So where I was going with that was, again, not at all an interest in my equipment or anything I was doing. It turned me off. I mean, to me, if I see a vapor, I want to know what you got going. I had a million questions from, what are these addies or all clones? Oh, that's a 454 big block, blah, blah. Things I hear and read about. I see. But again, total, to me, disappointment that, wow, how do you build that? Well, it's good, man. Whoa, that's Kojendo, blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Zero. I wasn't taking, I vape probably more than ever. I'm just standing there vaping and Well, this guy's trying to, and again, I see my results, and I didn't see much of a difference. But we did get to the point of what kind of batteries you guys sell. And he said, all I got is 26 650s now, and I got E-Fest, and they're these big purple things, and those things are huge. I've never seen one of those before, but I bet you that battery is that big, okay, as opposed to a little 18 650 that fits in here. So I've never seen another big, heavy device. So I said, what kind of, how many, I said, you check resistance, all that, how many ohms is that thing you're pushing? I think he said it's a 0.21. I said, your batteries are all good with that, huh? He goes, yeah, these things, they pulse out. I think it's a pulse of 63. And I was like, all right, man. Well, hey, what was your name again? Nice to meet you, bud. And at that point, I hadn't had enough. I didn't leave on bad terms, but I just realized that that's probably the typical vape shop. And if I had the capital, I would open up one that cared about the customers. It was like kind of adult oriented. I live in a pretty affluent area. I'm not affluent, but I live in an affluent area. And outside of this, I'm sure there's plenty of people like me that would like to walk into a place and not feel like they're talking to one of the Duck Dynasty guys, for one. And maybe someone with a little interest in their deal rather than showing you what they got there, and plus all the clones and stuff. To me, I'm just soured on vape shops. I'm sure there's cool ones out there. But anyway, let's get into the Fluke multimeter vid, and I will be talking at you. All right, who's down for some multimetering? Finally got my new multimeter. This particular model is called a Fluke 113. Got it right from Fluke. It's about $120 something, $124. What you're going to find about this multimeter is one thing I like about it already. I don't know if many other ones do. It has a stand. 2, the leads are substantial. 3, it has the basic functions a vapor would want to have on their multimeter. It's not loaded up with all kinds of crazy stuff. You're going to notice it right here. Basically has your current, your battery check. It has ohms resistance. I think there's a third position on it. Nope, that's it. There's 2 positions. You're either checking your off, you're checking your battery voltage or voltage drop on the mod. Let's see if putting this light on makes that cooler or not. Nope, there you go. Or resistance. Very simple little multimeter to use. They're just too simple. That's why I like it. Fluke is apparently, from what I hear amongst guys that know their stuff, the best multimeters in the business. So all I do when I got mine was these leads came in a box. I'm gonna plug, they just go into these 2 points. You don't have to figure out what that third one is for either, which I don't care because I don't have that multimeter with the third one. So, being that these are the best multimeters you can buy, I have one. So now you're going to have 2 probes, a black and a positive and a negative, and we're going to take these little end caps off them. So let's say the first thing we wanted to do was measure the volts of a battery. So we're going to turn it over here. The cool thing about the Fluke is it will detect if you're measuring direct current, which are batteries, or alternating current, which is like your household stuff. So let's pull the battery out of this mod and measure it. I've been vaping on it for a little bit this morning. So we're going to put the black end on the negative and just hold it there. And the red end, we're just going to tap it on the positive here and get a reading. 3.95. There you go. So that's how we'll basically test a battery. Okay? That's it. That's how simple that is to test batteries with it. So I only have that battery deal, test it out. We'll stick it back in the mod. And what we'll do is we'll take a resistance reading on this atomizer that's on this mod. How's that sound? That's the next thing we'll do. And then we'll double check the Fluky. So we're going to put it over to ohms. We're going to flip this down to ohms. There's the ohms indicator. I'm going to rip the top off the atomizer. And we're going to basically just touch the center post, which is positive, and the negative post. So center post on positive. Oh, first thing we got to do. Let's see what the leads. So we got to take our leads for resistance. You have to zero them out, or know what it is. You have to be able to, if you hold your leads together and it tells me that I've got 0.2 ohms of built-in resistance. Okay, and I find that by holding these two tips right in that groove, see, there's another thing about the fluke. It's not jumping. You see that? It's 0.2. You could take other multimeters and it will jump all over the place on you. You get what you pay for, I guess, in this case. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, I know my hands are in the way. That's the thing with these POVs. Let's see if I can come around the back side here. Positive post. Just going to dig it right in there on that Phillips screw. Negative post. And remember, we got to subtract out 0.2. So that means 0.8 minus 0.2 is about 0.6 ohms, right? That's what I'm going to be vaping. 0.6 ohms. Before I spin that addy after, let me write that down right here. 0.6 ohms is what this says that my atomizer is. 0.6 ohms. Okay. I just rebuilt my 3 up and running atomizers yesterday with 28 gauge Canthal A1, 8 wraps. So let's do a little voltage drop check on this Odin. We said that battery was 3 points. We're going to have to go back really quickly and check the battery again because we want to use accurate figures. And if anyone that's watched my videos know by now that I like mix up my words and stuff. So that's why I have to write stuff down. Even then I screw them up. So I'm just checking this battery again. And I'll show you how to check for voltage drop. You got to know what your battery's at. 3.96. I don't need to get any less than that. So let me write down 3.96 is where my battery is. 3.96. So what this is going to tell you isn't the voltage drop of the mod itself, because if we'll do that one once I get the atomizer off here. What this is going to tell you is the voltage drop of the mod with the resistance build you have on there. So remember, we set it back to voltage. I've never done this with a multimeter. I've done it with other tools. So basically you have to be able to be dexterous enough to get this on the positive, this on the negative. He says, why are you saying that to me? I don't really like what you're saying. And then let's just give it a little shot. 3.47, right? Is that what it says? I'm going to squonk my cotton again because I don't want to re-wick. I just re-wicked yesterday. I could smell cotton burning. A little tiny bit. Okay. Now that we've got that taken care of, let's do that again. Okay. So negative, positive, and then we just hit the fire button until we get a good solid reading. 3.45. 3.45. Sound about right? 3.45. So I got to do this by hand now. 6 minus 5 is 1. 9 minus 4 is 5. What am I even doing? So I got a point, there you go, 0.51, half a volt drop with a 0.6 ohm build on there. Half a volt drop, 0.6 ohm drop, 0.6 ohm addy. This is also using the AW IMR 2200. This isn't the 1600. The 1600 might be a little bit less, but it's still, that's a half a volt with a 0.5 ohm build. I'm not going to cry about it. Hell no. I'm not going to cry about it. So now, let's double check what the fluke has been telling us all along. Let's turn the fluke off. Remember, I'm going to move the fluke out the way. Remember, it told us that my atomizer build is 6 ohms. 0.6 ohms. Let's confirm that. I shouldn't say confirm. Let's just cross-check it against this guy right here. Okay? Let's cross-check it. That's got some moisture up in there, and I'm going to need to get something to wipe my fingers. See, this says 0.54 ohms. I'm going to trust the multimeter a little more than this. So shall we say that the multimeter is probably more correct than this right here? I'm going to say that it is. That's saying 0.54, okay? 0.54. So my build is 0.6. That's where I'm going with this. And that's that. But you know you're kind of close. This, you could always cross-check yourself. I got a little bounce there, probably because of some juicy juice in the connection there or whatnot, but it also wouldn't hurt to just check screws that never come loose. Alright, now suppose you're the type that uses a weird drip tip on your mod too. How can you check that with the digital multimeter? On this thing it's easy. You would just stick your cap on and let's do it. And it will tell you if you had any kind of shorting situation. For instance, I believe if you got a short, it would give you like a 1 or something weird. I've never tried a short one, so anyway, I don't know. But never tried to short it out. And if you were to put your cap on and it gave you some kind of weird reading, you know that you got an issue with your drip tip or something now contacting your cap. So with a multimeter, how we can check that whole deal is by turning it upside down, the atomizer. You got a positive pin, and the rest of the addy is pretty much negative. So assuming that that's there, and it's going to stay there for us, all we do is we bring this bad boy back into the game, turn him on to 2 ohms, double check the resistance in our leads. At 0.2 it was. Let's bring it around and double check. 0.2. So your positive is just, I'm just going to jam it up in here. And I'm going to hold my negative right here. And it should still say what it said before, 0.8. Between 0.7 and 0.8. That 0.7 would make it seem more close to correct. Because that minus 0.2 is closer to the 0.54. Okay, so 0.8 if I hold it there, 0.7. So it's probably where I'm getting a better connection. 0.8 right there. So that's how you would check. And again, if you got a wonky number there, once you got your atomizer loaded with a drip tip. So not much more I could say about using a multimeter. I'm just really happy that I've got this one. I've had a bunch of other multimeters that were all relatively cheap. Never even used them much. I had one in my basement for like ever, and I can't even find it anymore. But I'd recommend this one because it's so solid and so easy, and it has basically what Vapers need: voltage and ohms. You don't need to pay $3 or $4 or more $100 to have features, unless if you're like an electrician or something and you need it, or an HVAC tech and you need it. Rock on. But if you're just a dude like me who has it to check this kind of stuff, the good thing about it is you can check your addy on the mod. I probably won't be using this guy right here so much anymore because I'm checking on the mod and go right in and check VD. Oh, weren't we going to do that before I screw the addy on? We were going to check the voltage drop of the actual mod. So in order to do that, we put it back to battery again, voltage, and we check the battery again because the battery by now may have drained just a little tiny bit after all this. So we want to be fair. We want to make sure that we're checking the right things. I'm pulling the tops off of my leads. I'm going to put a lead on the negative side of the battery. I'm going to put a lead on the positive side of the battery. 3.95 still. I mean, you could even round that to 3.96 if you were so inclined. We're going to stick that battery back in the mod. We're going to put the mod back on the table. So here's where you got to kind of be careful, because you could easily drop a spring. And it wouldn't surprise me if I do, because I don't think I've ever checked this way. But I think it's much simpler than one thinks. As long as you're cool and you're right in the center pin, and then this is negative right here, right? All that's negative. So all we have to do is push the button. 3.95. So what that tells me is this mod and that battery basically have 0 voltage drop. See that? 3.95. There's no voltage drop in the mod. the way it's laid out right now. I mean, that's all I can say. It might be something different. There might be, that's all I can tell you. The mod has 0 voltage drop, because I just registered my battery at 3.95, right? Let's do it again. Make sure that I'm not going crazy, but a mod with 0 voltage drop is pretty damn impressive, man. I don't know if that 3.95, right? Here's the battery. That's this battery. It's going in there, just in case that anyone thinks that there's some tomfoolery going on here. So I'm just sticking this on here at the 510 pin, right in the center of it, so it doesn't ground out anything on the side. I'm putting it here for a little stable dealio, and then I'm pushing the button. 3.95. A mod with 0 voltage drop. That's what I have here, baby, and I like it. Anyway, good talking to you. That's how I run it, and that's how to use a digital multimeter for vaping. Get yourself a good one. Save yourself some headaches. See ya.